the Heather Boyd art channel, but I probably don't have enough subscribers yet because it would not let me go live. So I'm going to go live here in the Wire channel. We're doing painting today, not wire. And then I'm going to download this video and put it on my new channel. And hopefully we can build up that channel and do live streams directly there. So if you are new to the new channel, I started a new painting channel called Heather Boyd Art, and it's going to be all kinds of techniques. So hi Mustafa, hi Alman. If you guys can let people know, I did post it in the Discord channel, but if you know of anybody that wanted to watch the live stream, just let them know. I couldn't do it on the art channel, so I'm going to do it here. Hi Peggy, okay, I'm glad people are hopping on here. Hi Janine, great to see you. Awesome. So let me pull up the video here. Hi, Leslie. Nice to see you. Yeah, I'm so sorry it didn't work on my art channel, but we'll do it here until I grow that channel, and then we'll be able to do live streams there as well. So that's perfect. So let me know in the comments if you have your watercolors and you're going to do some watercolor painting with us today. I have some things to show you. We're going to do some very easy stuff. Happy Halloween. We're going to do some basic techniques. Excellent. Mustafa has his watercolors. And Nina's here. I'm cleaning. Okay, have you as company. Awesome, Nina. So, Nina, today we're not doing wire. We're doing a follow-up from last week's live stream where I did a little wire leaf. I'll just have to find it. Here's the wire leaf that we did last time on Wednesday, and we're going to do like watercolors to go to do a mixed media piece with the leaf. So that's the plan today. I did give a list of materials in the video that I posted on the art channel, but if you don't have the materials, don't worry about it at all. We're just going to play around with it and have fun. So I'm going to just flip the screen. Let's just flip it around. Perfect. Yeah, it's unfortunate I couldn't live on my other channel, but as that channel grows, I'll be able to do live streams there. And for now, we'll just do them here, and then I'm going to download them to that channel. So this was just something fun. I'm not doing any art or craft today. No worries at all. If you want to keep us on for white noise, that would be awesome. So this is something that uses some of the techniques of the watercolor. Hi, Becca. Thanks for hopping over to this channel. The little unplanned discrepancy with the not being able to live stream on the other one, but it's all good. Hi, Wendy. I'm happy you could make it. So these are, this is actually done with inks, but you can use inks in the same way as watercolors. So for this one, I actually did like an abstract background, and the fish is actually collage. So you can mix media anytime you want. So it's fun to do a background with a watercolor, and some of your objects can be collage. So these are actually magazine pages that I've used. So that's fun. And then I'm going to just show you some other watercolor things I've done, and then we're going to go from there. So Wendy and Peggy aren't painting today, but just watching, that's totally fine. And then when you do get your paints, you can watch the replay. So this was a fun one too. Sometimes I just explore. I just like pop colors on there. And this one is actually done with those watercolor pencils. And I did have a request for somebody that wanted to do some painting with the watercolor pencils. So I will be doing tutorials for those in the future, definitely. This one's super fun. I want to learn something new today. Awesome. I'm so happy. So this one is actually it's also with watercolor, but it's like kind of a faux stained glass technique. I learned a lot of techniques when I was teaching at a local art school called the La Palette in Beaconsfield. You're going to paint after watching. Perfect. So this one's super fun. It's easy to do. I should show you guys how to do these, because basically you wet the surface, and then what you do is you put like the paint around the outside and it bleeds in. And then after you've drawn these shapes, and after you're going to paint the shape, paint black around the outside. So I think I'll do a whole live stream or tutorial about doing a fake, like a faux stained glass technique. So that's really fun. I can't paint today because I don't have watercolor. No worries. In a pinch, Alman, you could get some coffee and paint with coffee or tea. Like brew some coffee, brew a bag of black tea or a pot of coffee, and get some like Q-tips and things, and you can play around with it. I know you're creative. You could probably do something. So that's definitely an option. This one was fun. It was just like I did an abstract background, and then I pulled a figure out of the background, and I just kind of doodled and went nuts with it. That one was really super fun. And then This one I was out, I did a sketch of a really loose sketch of a chair and then just kind of put some paint in there. So that was fun. This one's actually not finished. I did a sunset and I've drawn, you can't even see it, but I drew a tree in there. So what I'm going to do is do a black wire tree on there and it'll be like a silhouette. So this one is one in progress that I'm not finished yet. I used black wax crayon and paint and the watercolor. Yes, that's one of the techniques we're going to do is with the crayon. That's fabulous. And then here's a background for like the fish type of thing. So that one is really fun too. This is just with, I did a little bit of the alcohol technique. If you guys watched my tutorial about the alcohol inks, we learned a bit of those techniques there too. There's Isa. How are you? Nice. Yeah, these are fun, eh? They're really different. This one is more traditional. It's just like a landscape with the trees. We have a lot of beautiful areas near where we live that have rivers and trees and stuff. So this was a fun one, which is, and sometimes it's nice to make a competition where composition where your eye kind of goes into the piece. And this one I might or might not add wire. Often I add wire to do a mixed media thing, but I don't always add wires. So like this, for example, I did that one on the another live stream a little while back where I was doing the string art. I didn't really like the way this turned out here, but I know, Wendy, you had done a string art of a heart and you kind of like made me realize you have to slightly stagger the wires when you twist them back and forth. Otherwise, you get a bit of a knot in the middle. So that's so fun. I really love these. Thank you so much. And the dress is cool too, yes, but I do think I have to adjust sort of the positioning of these things when I do those as well. So there's that. And then as for techniques, what I did was I have a sampler. So I have like a little sampler that I always do when I teach. And so there's different techniques on the sampler that we're going to look at. And I'm going to go through them one by one. So I thought I'd just show you this for now as a whole. And like just different things. And I take notes. So if you're doing a sampler, take notes just so you remember how you did the technique. Like this one, I basically put water and then I sprayed it with a spray bottle and it made a really cool technique. So as you learn these techniques, you want to keep track and have a sampler. Just like when you do, like I remember in high school, I took embroidery and we did an embroidery sample. That was really cool. So there's something called like wet on wet where you put water and then the paint. So you can take little notes. This is with the alcohol. This is actually Indian inks, which I won't be using today, but I have used those in the past. I might try to go for those as well. I have to go find them. And then more samplers. So this one was fun. I just kind of wet a certain area and then did like almost a little mini painting within that area. So that was really cool. And this is more like, I don't have this stuff, but you can actually get a drawing gum. It's like sort of a liquid that you put the liquid down, it dries, and then when you paint over top when it's dry, and then you lift up the drawing gum and it leaves a nice shape underneath. A lot of watercolor painters use those, and it smells really bad, that stuff, but it's really fun and useful. So here's another sampler, like splattering. This is dry brush that you could do that with the ink. So I might go ahead and try to grab some ink at some time to show you guys. And there we go. So we have, and then you could like bring out shapes with inks. A lot of mixed media. Here's the crayon. Here's the crayon relief where you paint on top of the crayon. And this one was a bit of a fail. I painted a leaf and actually pressed it on top, and it worked moderately well. So guys, let's get started. And just to show you, so when on the live stream, I set up like a drawing of a leaf, and then I did my leaf. So after I'll do that, but I'm going to do the sampler first. So we're going to put that to the side. And basically for the sampler, I have this 140-pound paper. You can use any weight paper you want. 140 is a good medium size. It comes in 90, and it also comes in 300 pound. 300 pound is very heavy. And what I usually do is I usually tape it down. When I do a small piece like that, I always tape them down. But for the sampler, I wouldn't worry too much about taping it. It's really not so necessary. So what I'm going to do is just organize my stuff a little bit. I'll show you a couple of different palettes, and then I'm going to use my favorite palette. So 140-pound paper you can buy at any art store, or you can buy it probably at Michael's too. I bet they have it at Michael's, and you can definitely order it on Amazon. So this is just to show you, I have these ones here. These I'm not going to use, but you can buy kits like this where they're just like already set up. They're just like the dry kind of palette like that. You can buy student quality or regular quality ones like this. This is a higher end one. This is Stuart Semple. This is an artist that actually created his own palette, and he gave all like funny names to his paints and stuff, but they're really beautiful, vibrant colors. So this one you can find on his website, and it's a beautiful, beautiful set. It was given to me as a gift, but I know it's a higher end set. So this is Stuart Semple. That's a nice palette. And then the one that I use, and sadly, I didn't clean it up for the live stream because it is a little bit of a mess, but they had them at Michael's. That's what I thought, yeah. So it's a huge mess, but this just means it's well loved and well used. So all my paints are like around the outside there. And what I do is I buy them in tubes, and I buy a palette. This I think I showed you guys on one of the intro videos. So I like the whole bean colors. They're higher end. They're like artist quality. And you just squeeze it into your sections, and then you let it dry like for a few hours. They also have artist quality or student quality. So this one's actually acrylic, but they have watercolors that come in this type of tube as well in the student quality. So that's perfect. I just wanted to show you guys that. And then if you do need to clean your palette, it's not a problem at all. You can just get a paper towel, or don't use Kleenex because you'll get all kinds of like weird fibers on it, but you can use a paper towel. I have the tube ones, nice. So, and then just wet your paper towel. And then if you need to clean your palette, you just like clean it up like that. So it's really, it looks horrible with all the paint, but sometimes I like to keep the mess because it actually, I could reuse those colors. It's never like a waste because you can always reuse these colors that you've mixed in the palette sections. But I'll just clean up 2 sections to show you guys. See how easily it cleans up? And you can use ice cube trays as well, or yogurt lids, or whatever you like. So then we have a couple of like clean palette areas to work with. And then for the sample itself, don't worry too much about what colors you choose, because we're just going to play around with it. So I'm going to move, I want to put these in a way that you guys can see the palette and the painting. So I'm going to maybe lift up this a little bit more so you can see it. And then paper plates. That paper, maybe plastic or styrofoam might work. As long as it doesn't absorb too much into the paper, it should be good. So other things we're going to be working with, I have coarse salt here. So we have some coarse salt. I have saran wrap, plastic wrap. So I'll just get a piece of that now to show you guys. So we have the plastic wrap. We're going to get all these things ready. And there's the crayon, just a wax crayon, or you can use a candle just to have some wax. So we're just going to get those ready. You can use some paper towel, or not paper towel, a tissue. I'll just cut like a couple of little pieces of tissue to have ready. Okay, so we're going to have some tissue paper ready. Make sure I want to leave space so you guys can see what I'm doing. And then this was the other technique we did with the alcohol inks, is the rubbing alcohol. So this is really handy. I'm going to put it in a bottle like that, or you can put it in a little shot glass like this just to have some, and you can dip your brush into it. So, but I'm going to just put it right in this little pot here. Here we go, evaporates really quickly. So I'm just going to have that ready to go, and so you can see the techniques with that. So the rubbing alcohol, just from any pharmacy, I just put it in there. And then you want to have some sponges, different textures of sponges, and you can have Q-tips. Okay, you can take some Q-tips. Just don't drink it. Yes, exactly. Just do not drink it, please. I'm going to put a disclaimer on my channel that if nobody should drink it. So now here's some brushes. It's always good to have a big brush to wet larger areas with. So good to have a big brush. This is like a nice kind of medium sized brush here. This one was an old like acrylic painting brush I had from doing, what's it called? Toll painting, decorative art. So I still have some of those brushes. They're a pretty good quality actually. I don't know if you guys have ever done toll painting with Donna Dewberry. She was like popular in the 90s type of thing. So, and then some smaller brushes are good too. So just have a good little variety. This is just like a cheaper toll painting brush as well. And this is actually a dollar store brush. So there's quite a few different brushes you can use. I just want to keep these nearby so I can see them. My workspace is a little crazy right now. I have a lot of things going on here. So we're going to do that. And then, of course, if you tape down your paper, I demoed how to do that in the intro video. I'll link that one up below. So you'll need that just for doing that. Paula, yes. No, you didn't miss much, Paula. We're just sort of introducing all the techniques and stuff we're going to be doing. And before I go ahead and paint the leaf, we're just going to do some techniques. So let's go ahead and I will just make sure I have the sampler nearby so I don't forget to do anything. So let's just start with a very basic type of thing. So let me get a medium-sized brush. Okay, so we have about a medium-sized brush. And then what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to turn off the overhead light. I think it's a little bit shadowy. There we go. Perfect, that's better. It was a little too shadowy. So now I have, unfortunately I can't show you all my stuff I have going, but this is my water, just so you know it's in a yogurt pot. So I'm gonna dip my brush in the water, okay? And what I like to do first is just to wet some of the colors so so they're ready to go. So I'll just like put some water on some of my colors just to loosen them up a bit so I have them ready to go, okay? So that way they're not like bone dry when I'm working with them. So we're just gonna put like little bits of water on the colors that I know I wanna work with. Go through, the blues are nice. And I did give a list of colors in the intro video so you guys can, you know, get some good colors. This is one of my favorites. It's called Payne's Gray. And it's actually more like, I don't use black at all with watercolor, but the Payne's Gray is nice because it's a dark kind of grayish blue color. It's a really nice one. So then we have, I've got some yellows down here too. And another good color, especially for natural type things, are like the burnt sienna, burnt umber type things as well. So we're gonna just bring, and the ochre. So there we go. So we're just gonna, so they're nice and wet now. So there's a few different techniques that I could show you. So if I'm just gonna get a little bit of color, hopefully you can, I wanna make sure you guys can see what's on the screen here. Okay, yeah, we can see, no, I'm gonna move it up a little bit more. I'll move my computer out of the way. Perfect. So just to show you, like just one technique, for example, it's called wet on wet, and we can actually write these down so we know them. Just let me get a pen so we know. And so the first one we'll do is you just wet your paper first, okay? So we're just gonna wet the paper. Make sure I'm in the screen. Yeah, so we're gonna wet the paper and we just wet it here. So it just loosens up the paper a little bit, makes it a little more wet. And I'm actually going to get maybe a smaller brush. Let me get a smaller brush. I'll just use my cheap dollar store brush to show you. So wet your brush first, get a little bit of the paint, okay, a little bit of the paint here. And then if you put the water on, the paint on the water, you see it gets like really blended out and stuff. So you just blend it out. And then it can be dark in the middle and it blends out like that. So that's called wet on wet. And then from there, I'm just gonna get my paper towel. Actually, I don't use a paper towel. I use more like a cloth. And if you need to take water off your brush, just take it off a little. And then you can kind of blend it out a little bit too. This is a rough paper. I generally use a, how do you say, like a smooth paper, but I'll just use this rough paper for the examples. So this is wet on wet. And then if you want to just blend colors, you can blend them directly. So say we take like a yellow. Okay, so we're just going to do a yellow like that. And even that one I put maybe a little bit too much pigment. So if you put too much pigment, you can add water to it, no problem. And then if you want to blend that, so then the next color, like if you have a color wheel, you'll know what color goes after the other one on the color wheel. So if we go to green, and then we could just blend it a little bit. And then if you want to actually blend these, just like get a little bit of water and not too much, and then just you could kind of blend them together a little bit. Now if you need to go back and grab more yellow, you can. And then you see it just kind of blends the color together. And then if you want to go to the next color, like a blue, then you could put the blue over here and do it as dark as you want. And then you just kind of blend them together. And like you see there's a bit of a line there, just wet your brush again, dab it a little bit, and then you can just blend the colors together. So there's a lot you can do with it. You can go back and get more color and blend it in like that. So there's a lot you can do just to play around. And that's what you want to do at first. When you're first learning how to do this, you're just going to go ahead and play with the colors, blend them together, and then just see what they do. So there's all kind, I'm going very lightly with this, but you could definitely go darker if you want. And then we could get some red and we can just like really blend it in together. But that's what you want to do before you actually start making a painting, is you just want to play with it and see. So this is just, there we go. So this would be like blending. So we're going to go like that. Cool. And then, there we go. Oh, I'm missing some things. I have a number 8. Okay, so new brushes. Yes, I didn't actually look at the numbers on them. I'm going to have to get an idea, just like wire gauges, I'll have to get an idea of the brush sizes so I could let you guys know more technical things about sizes and stuff. I often go very instinctually. So now, if we want to do some fun techniques with the, so you can see what happens with the salt. This is a coarse salt. I actually just bought it at the dollar store and opened the jar. Like it's supposed to have a blend, like how do you say, a grinder on it? But I'm just like, no, I'm just gonna like get this and play with it. So then you can get some, coarse salt, and you're going to see what that does after, but we'll put it on for now. Okay, we're just going to put a few stones on there, for bits on there for now. You can get different, like kind of, how do you say, different sizes of the coarse salt, but this is sort of more a thicker size. So that, and then that one we have to let dry before we do much with it. So I'm going to let that one dry, and then we're going to do a little bit with the saran wrap, so you can see what happens with the saran wrap. So for the saran wrap, we are going to take different colors. I'm going to try different colors this time, and just to, but you have to work quickly if you're doing some of these techniques, because otherwise it's going to, if it dries, you won't get the same effect. So if you have too much water, take a little bit off, and we're just going to I just want to do some wetting around here, like to get it a little bit wet. I have a little, that might be like a little too much water, but we're going to see. So we're going to do, sometimes I use this technique for like when I do like the bottom of the ocean type of thing. So we're just going to get some colors in here, but I'll try to get enough in there so you can actually see, and then some little darks. So this one I'm just kind of playing around. I'm throwing a bunch of colors in there. And then now we're going to, this piece is a little big, but you basically want to take your saran wrap, squinch it up a bit, and then just stick it down on your paper. Now this one will have to dry for a little while, so I'm just going to leave that one for a little while it dries. So we're just going to do that and just leave it there so it's going to dry. So now we can write down, this is the salt and this is the saran wrap or plastic wrap, whatever you want to call it. And then let's have fun with the alcohol. That one is so much fun. So we're going to just get a little bit of our little bit of color. So I'm going to do blue because it's kind of like a under the ocean thing. I'm going to mix a couple of little blues here. And then we're just going to kind of go in here a little bit. And maybe I'll just try to get maybe even just a little bit of green just to give it a little bit of variety. Okay, now the thing with the alcohol, you want to let it dry just like a little bit a minute. Now it's a very hard balance to know like how wet it has to be and you know how much pigment to do and all that stuff, and that's why we do samplers, is just to get an idea of timing, amount of pigment, stuff like that. Wax paper. So the wax paper wouldn't work so well with this because it really has to stick and hold in shape. I mean, it might have another effect. We can definitely try it, and we can try it with the tissue as well. But the saran wrap is great because it really holds its shape. But by all means, let's try the wax paper to see how it works as well. So now for the alcohol, we're just going to stick these on here, and you don't want to wait too long so it's too dry, but you'll see how that makes these really, really cool effects like that. So let me go get some wax paper just to try. I'm just going to get some. And yeah, so the wax paper might be a different effect, but it also might work. So here's some wax paper, and then we have tissue. So let's try them and see what works, because I love trying the different techniques. This is just rubbing alcohol. Exactly. So this is rubbing alcohol. I'll write it like that, rubbing alcohol. And I think this one is 70%. Okay, that's what it is. This is the one you get in the pharmacy most of the time. So now let's just for kicks try the wax and try the tissue, because what you'll want to do for sure is like crunch it up, okay, and just trying to play around with it. And then we're going to get some color and give it a try. So let's just get this, crunch it up. Maybe I'll just try with the Payne's Gray because that's a nice kind of dark color. So we're just going to go here, and I can always like mix a little bit of blue in here as well just to play around with it. So sometimes you get like really interesting color combinations. So this is the wax paper. Let's just try it on here. But the thing is, you want to make sure it's going to stay there, and I'm not sure it's going to absorb much, but you know, this is a science, right? You can't always, you know, you can make a hypothesis, but you can't always predict how it's going to turn out. And wax paper does mold quite well. So let's just give it a try. This is the wax. So that's wax paper. It's kind of holding its shape well. So this is wax, and this is, let's put, Becca suggested that. So let's just put that there, and let's try the tissue. So we're going to try the tissue and see what the difference is. So why don't I just go ahead and use the same color combination so we have an idea. Yeah, rubbing alcohol is right. Yeah, exactly. So here we're going to just put a little bit of the Payne's Gray, which is one of my favorite colors, which doesn't look much like a color, but it is. It's got like little tinges of blue. So if we put that one and then the tissue, let's try the tissue. So we're going to put the tissue on there, and just like same thing, we're just going to push it down and see what it does. So we've got saran wrap, we've got wax paper, and we have tissue. And then after it dries, we'll pull them up and see what happens. So we've got tissue paper here. Perfect. Not that you can read my writing. So now, why don't we try with the wax? So it becomes like this sort of relief thing. So we're just going to try, we'll do a little bit of the wax crayon. So you can do like different shapes. And then we'll try a little bit of, this one's going to be maybe not so well, but this is just a bit of the candle to see what we can do with that. So if we get that, and then we're going to get some more paint. I like the sort of a magenta color, so I'll try that. And then if we paint over top, I don't want too much water on it. If you get too much water, you can just like kind of dab it on there. So then we're going to go like that, and you'll see the white of the paper shows through. So that's definitely interesting. So this is with the crayon and the candles. So that's cool. And then even once you've done that, you can blend other colors in. So say you want to blend like a little bit, whoa, that one's, I got a little too much. I'm going to blend a little bit of yellow in there. So you can definitely like just blend other colors in while you're at it, right? So you can just go ahead and blend more colors and just play around. I'm really like not paying too much attention to my colors and stuff, but you can definitely play around with that. So this one is the crayon and candle. Perfect. So that's good. So now let's try this spray bottle. Yeah, this one's cool, eh? With the relief, there's a lot you can do with that. It's really, really super fun. So now I'm going to try with the spray bottle. This is actually a spray bottle my daughter uses for her dolls when she does her photography. So I just borrowed it from her for today. And then now I'm going to get some paint. I'm going to bring this in when I take my paint so you guys can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just go with my favorite, the Payne's Grace. So you're going to take some of the paint, put some water on my brush, and then we're just going to put it here. Okay. We want like a decent amount. And then let's see how it's going to work. So if we take this spray bottle and just like spray it out, it's kind of working. Maybe I put too much water on there. It's possible. Let me try it again. So we're going to just go here, put a little bit here, and maybe try a bit that way. Yeah, because you don't want too much, but you'll see it kind of makes an interesting spray effect. Now this might have been, this spray bottle might not have had a fine enough spray on it, but the other one that I'd done before looked a little bit better. Just to show you, see, this was when I'd done it before, probably the texture of the like the holes, the amount of holes in the spray bottle was different, so it made a more kind of like defined effect, whereas this one, it's not too bad. It's kind of like bleeding out a little bit there, so there is definitely stuff you can do with that. And then let's write that down. That's the spray bottle. So we're gonna do spray bottle. Perfect. And then let's get another one. So I'm just going to see, we did some of that, and I'm just going to look at my other samplers to see. We've got the salt, we've got that one, and we can just do some more blending because I have to let those other ones dry. So I'm going to definitely let those ones dry a little bit. And then let's do some more wet on wet stuff. So I'm going to just get my brush. Okay, we're going to get the brush. There we go. So get the brush and just do kind of a, I'm just going to get some blue here. So we just do some, like, just like that. Like when I do a sky, often I'll mix like a little bit of blue with the yellow a little bit, and then we can go back and get a little bit more. I'm just cleaning my brush in between colors too. Okay, so we go to do that, and you'll just see how it blends. Okay, so there's lots you can do with blending. Here, I'm just gonna wet my brush, and then if I want to go ahead and get so maybe some green or something, just go there, and then we can just like kind of blend it together on there. And it's really all about just playing. Okay, if you just want to play with it and say you want to just take a little bit and just, there's all kinds of things you can do. And then they kind of, when they're wet, they're going to bleed together, and if it's dry, you'll get more of a defined line. So that's really, really cool as well. And then if you want to just kind of bleed something out a little bit, so say you want to just start with a color, so start with purple this time. So we're just going to start, like, if you want to start with like quite a defined bit of color there, and then I'm cleaning my brush. I don't know if you guys can see. I'm going to bring this over here so you can see. Whoops, there we go. My salt came off, but here, I'm just going to bring my water bottle here. So I'm just sticking it in there. It's just a yogurt pot. And then from here, you can kind of bleed it out a little bit. And if you'll know when you have too much water, you might have to like dip it on your paper towel, and you can just kind of bring it out and just kind of bleed it out like that. So that's really fun. It almost like goes from dark to almost nothing. And then you can just like keep removing water off your paper towel or your towel. And then if you need more water, just like dip it in the thing again, take the extra off, and then see, you could almost bleed it down to nothing. You know, it just goes down like from very dark to nothing. So that's really cool like that as well. And then as for the one that was more like the stained glass, so if you want as well, you can always draw it out first. I don't think I have a pencil nearby, but you can always draw a shape. Let me just see if I have a pencil in my cupboard. I don't have anything handy, but that's okay. So what you could do for that, if you want to do something like this one here, so the idea for that is you would do a dark around the outside. Okay, so we're just going to take a darker color, maybe the blue or something. I'm just going to wet it a little bit. Okay, so let me bring this in here so you guys can see. Yeah, so if I just take a little bit of the blue, so say I want to draw like a little shape, I would draw these shapes out first, and I would just go around. Okay, just go around. I maybe should have used a thinner brush, but that's okay. So if you do the dark around the outside, hopefully you can see that, and then clean your brush, take all the paint off your brush, get the extra off, and then you kind of like blend it towards the middle. So this is the idea of sort of the stained glass technique. You just kind of blend it in towards the middle, and then keep removing the paint from your brush, and then for the middle you're just going to blend it in like that. And this is interesting because it makes more of a three-dimensional effect. You can see with the dark around the outside and the light on the inside, it's really interesting. So let's see what happens if we do the opposite. So we're just going to take the same blue in the middle. So if we do like the blue, dark blue in the middle, okay, quite dark blue. And then I'm actually going to get a smaller brush. I found that one a little bit big, and then we can kind of blend it. If you have too much water, take it off, and we're just going to blend it out. Now, if we had a more defined shape, we would know where to stop, but just remove the water as you need it in the ink. So just it does a different effect when you go from the inside to the outside. Maybe I need more color in there too. So we could just get more. Let's get more paint. Okay, we're gonna get a little more paint in there. And this is just plain, you know. I didn't pre-plan doing some of these, but it just works well when you just play around with it and see. You can do this for hours, just playing with the color, seeing what it does. So it's really, really, I love watercolor because it's very organic and very fun. So I don't actually have a shape drawn there, but what I can do is get the Indian ink and show you how that works. So just bear with me. I'm just gonna go grab it and I'll be right back. So here's the ink that whoops, sorry, something fell down. This is the ink that I have. This is the Chinese ink. And then what I'm going to do is I've actually done some Chinese ink painting courses before, and that's a whole nother technique that's really fun as well. So let me just take a little bit and put it in the pot. Just gotta open it up and hopefully not make a mess. So we're just going to stick that in there. So we'll stick a little bit. You don't need a lot of ink at all. Okay, so we're just going to, and sometimes it's fun to combine medium, right? So this, I could surround it, like this is what I would have used to do the outside of those ones there. And so a technique that you can combine with watercolor, it's called dry brush. So I don't know if any of you have heard of dry brush before. But dry brush is when you take an old paintbrush, like get a crappy old one that's already like, this is actually called a scruffy brush. This is used in toll painting to do this technique. But just take an old brush that's you don't care about. And the reason it's called dry brush is because it's dry. You do not dip this in water. So don't dip this one in water. We're just going to, we need some paper towel to take the extra off. But basically what we're going to do is take the ink, take your dry brush, stick it in, just stick it in the ink to get it like saturated like that. And then I'm going to put it at the side. I'm just going to put it somewhere that I'm not going to dump it everywhere. And then if you have extra, just take it off with a paper towel. But the idea is if you take the dry brush, let me do it over here where we have nothing going on. I've used dry brush with acrylics. Exactly. So you use dry brush with acrylics a lot. So this, you're just going to take this and if you, oh, see now I'm right under, of course my paintbrush is too, how could I do it from here? My paintbrush is too long and it's hitting the camera. So let me bring it over here. And we're just going to, yeah, you just go like that. And it gives this like textured effect. Okay, so this is called dry brush. And then you just get like little textures and stuff. And you can build up areas that you want darker. And the areas you don't want dark, you just leave them like more loose like that. So then you, yeah, if you want a darker area, you just keep going over it with the brush and then over there it's lighter. But you can do it over top of watercolor. So you can just take it and then go over top. I'm hitting the camera, I'm so sorry. So there we go, we're gonna go over and you could get interesting techniques doing dry brush over watercolor. So you see it's on the color and there it is on the white paper. So that's very, very interesting for sure. So Hernandez, hello, I love your channel. Thank you. Well, today we're doing something different. We're doing painting because I could not go live on my other channel. So I'm doing the painting on this channel just for today, and then I'll move the video over to the other channel. So that is that. That's okay. You don't mind me hitting the camera with my paintbrush. So let's just double check. We've done a lot of these techniques. We did the wet on wet, the alcohol, the salt. This was the masking fluid that I actually don't have, but I don't have the masking fluid, but you could do something. I didn't think about it, but I have done things where I've just got tape to mask out areas as well. So we could try something like that as well. I didn't even think to do this. This is what you call going on the fly, because I didn't even think about this, but you can take little pieces of tape if you wanted to, maybe even smaller than that. Let's see what I can do. But you can definitely buy masking fluid at an art store. And basically what it does is it just protects the paper. So say we're going to do this, and I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going to play around with this. So if we did like something like this, where we do like little shapes, you can cut like really tiny, thin layers of tape as well. So say we go like that, we could do, there's a few things you can do with masking tape. So here's one idea. So let's go ahead and paint on that and see what it does. I will snip off long brushes. Good idea. I was going to do it. I was going to snap it in front of you guys, but I didn't want to, I don't know. I didn't want to be destructive on the live stream, but I could do that. Comment below if you want me to snap my brush, because I'll totally do that. So let's go ahead with this and see what we could do if we get some paint. And then after I'll take it off and see what it does. So if we're just going to go in, mix some colors together, we can have fun with that and do a little bit more, just play around. See, this is where you just forget about overthinking and you just play with it. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just playing around with it. That got a little bit thick. Like, you don't want to go too opaque with watercolor either, because then it starts to look more like acrylic than anything. So this is, we're just going to leave that like that. Please don't do it. Okay, I won't do it. I don't want to be destructive on the live stream. That's hilarious. Maybe I'll use a saw and do it properly after. So yeah, so we're just going to go with this, play around with it. So that's, we're going to let that dry and see what happens. And then the other thing we can do is, this is something I've done before too. I use my garden cutters. That's a good idea. Perfect. Yeah, good. So there we go. So let's just cut these. You could tear it or you can cut it. It might be better to cut with scissors. So let me just see, or if you have an X-Acto knife. So this is a fun thing you can do too. I've done actually samplers where I've done some very geometric things, and that's been really cool too. So you can just get masking tape. I find this masking tape a little bit on the skinny side. So I might rather get like some proper painter's tape or something a little bit less sticky. This was just from, I think, Walmart or something, and I find it a little sticky. But I did give a little hack in the when I did the intro video. If you want to take off some of the sticky, you can just like put it on a cloth or like more like a cotton cloth or something, and then you just pull it up and then it takes some of the sticky off, but you don't take too much of the sticky off. So then if you want to try some masking, like do more geometric stuff, you can definitely like go ahead and I'm just going to do a quick demo of this because this was really fun. I saw this before and I thought it was a great idea, and I did a whole sampler like this. So where you just take your tape and you can just do an area, like tape it up. Maybe I'll do a slightly larger area so we can see what it looks like. So we're going to just tape up like a little area. This you can just like have a lot of fun with it. I've seen people do this with acrylic paint as well. Try to get it down enough that the paint's not going to sink underneath the tape. So we're going to do that. And then let's do some colors in there. So let me try to use some other colors we haven't used so much. So if we do like a little bit of the red and maybe a little bit of purple, we can just go in there and play around with it. And then maybe, I don't know, a little bit of blue or something. Yeah, we're just gonna, whoop, there's a little bit of dirt in there. So we can just pick the dirt up and just bring like that. So I'm gonna just let that dry a little bit. When I have too much water, I just pull up my brush and just do that. So I'm gonna let that dry for a little bit, and then we're gonna go from there. This one was with the spray bottle was really, really wet. So it's almost like a little bit too wet. And the other thing is I could have used the X-Acto to cut that as well. So let's start marking what some of these were. So this is dry brush, okay, dry brush here. And then this one was more wet on wet. And then this is the stained glass technique. So I'm going to show you stained glass. When that's dry, should be almost dry. And then this is the masking tape. Masking tape. Not that you can read my writing. So, and then that's the crayon candle, and this is more masking tape. So we're just going to put that up there. So let me just go ahead and try to do a little bit of a border on that one. You're going to need a fine-ish brush for that. I don't want to ruin my brush too much, so let me just see if I have another finer brush. Maybe I'm going to use this one. It's a dollar store brush, so I'm not too concerned about that. So just make sure it's dry. I think it's dry enough. So for that, if you want to do the stained glass technique, I'm going to see if this brush is good enough. It might be too big, so we have our ink here. You really don't need a lot of ink. Okay. And like I said, this might be too, I think this is actually going to be too thick. So I'm not going to use that one after all. So let me get another brush. Even if it means using one of my finer brushes, I think it's going to be worth it. So I am going to get maybe this one here. And then we're going to get the ink. Okay, we're going to just get the ink here. And then the idea to do the stained glass, I probably should have done more around it, but I'll just give you an idea. So the idea would be you'd go around the outside, and depending on like where you want your connections to be. So say you decide to go down like that, okay? And then we're gonna go down around like this, around the outside, around here. And then the idea is in these corners, you just wanna smooth them out a little bit. So we're just going to like go around and smooth the corners a bit. And then this, you can go to like, say your other areas if you want. And same thing, you could just like smooth out the corners like this, just so they're nice and smooth. So this one, and then I'll show you the original sample to see how it works. And then you can vary the width of your lines if you want, just to make them more interesting. And then that's the idea of doing this type of thing like that. And then say we do it on the other one, just to compare it. I'm gonna wash my brush again. Okay, we're just gonna compare that. And we'll just get a little more Indian ink and then just bring it around. So there, see, we did it around this one. I don't know, I don't think it makes as much sense with the light to dark. In fact, maybe it doesn't make any sense at all, but this is a good, this is why we experiment, to see how things look. This almost looks like an eyeball or something. I kind of like this. It's very interesting. So if we did something like that, and around like that. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. But like you see, you can do a lot with these techniques and with mixing media and stuff as well. So that's really cool. And then just let me double check I haven't missed any. Like this is interesting. This was another thing with wet on wet, that like that type of thing where you could get different ideas. And then this one, yeah, so this one, it's just using a finer line to pull out some other colors. This one was interesting. I actually used an embossing tool on that one. So that one was cool. So let me try something like that. And yeah, so here we have my little embossing tool. And then what I can do for that would be, my water's getting a little bit dirty. I'm actually gonna go clean my water because it's always important. Look, it's getting gross. So it's always important to clean your brush. There we go. Yeah, always important to clean your brush and your water. So now that's better. We'll stick it over here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my smaller brush again. Perfect. And then we're just going to do like a little bit of a light background, kind of like what I did before. So we're just going to, oh, I got a drop of water on there by mistake, but I think the Indian ink's a little quite color fast, so that's fine. So say we just put like, I don't want too much there, so we put a little bit of a color in the background. And then I'm going to do my favorite Payne's Gray at the bottom because you want a darkish color here. So we're just going to put a darkish color. So if we put a little dark, a little bit more, I think. So we put a little bit more. I kind of forget how I did this one. I did it in one of my classes. And so then say you get the embossing tool and you just kind of bring it up like that. So it's not like bleeding up as I thought, as much as it did when I tried this before, but let me just try to add a little bit more paint and see if it's going to work. Because I think maybe, you know what, I think the yellow was wetter last time I did it. Maybe that was it. So let me just try to add like a little bit more water up here. Yeah, I'm just going to add a little bit more water, but not too much. See, this is the fine, you know, the very fine lines of like how much water and how much water not to put. So like if I do that and then I kind of like blend it up, I'm just creating a little bit of a road, like a little bit of a pathway for the, like a tunnel almost for the water, for the paint to bleed up. So that's kind of interesting. That was just something I discovered on my own. So it's probably a technique, but you never know, right? So that was interesting. It creates a little bit of a texture and it spreads the ink a little bit too. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, I like that. And then if you say you wanted to do just like little teeny drops just for fun. So I'll just get a little bit of the wetness and then just see what happens if you just kind of, whoop, let me just get a little bit more. So say I decided to do like some little, yeah, I mean, it's, you're just playing with it, guys. You're just having fun. So I'm just like doing these teeny little dots and letting them bleed out and stuff. So that's really cool. The other thing you can work with are Q-tips. Q-tips are interesting because you can actually pull ink off with that. So I'm just going to write on here that, just so you know, this is the embossing tool. Embossing tool. And then for the, oh no, I just spilled my Indian ink. See that? That's going to happen. Accidents are going to happen, right? So let's just pull that up. Ooh, and then you get this interesting pattern. So that's what happens when accidents happen. You get little cool textured patterns. So I'm actually just drawing, like painting with my paper towel. See? So that's super interesting. Gotta love it when accidents happen. So now what I'm going to do is try some stuff with the Q-tip. There we go. And LOL, yes, definitely. So now let's just get some paint, any color, it doesn't matter. We're just going to like spread it on here, okay, like that. And then what you can do is use your Q-tip and just like, you can do dots, you can do like little patterns like that. There's all kinds. This one's a little bit hard. Let me just see if we get another one. And I wonder if you could even paint with the Q-tip. So I'm going to just dip the Q-tip in the water and then just get some paint. Let's just dip the Q-tip in the water, get a little bit of paint, and let's see what happens. So yeah, you could literally spend hours just playing around with it. Yeah, so that's like a little too much paint, but you can like go ahead and then play around with it a little more. You can do like paint with your Q-tip, go in like that and blend it around. Like there's all kinds of interesting and unusual things you can use for painting. So that's cool. And even like toothpicks and stuff like that. You can get sponges. So let's get a sponge. Here's a really nice textured sponge that you can play with. So this one down here was the Q-tips. We're going to run out of space here. So now I'm going to do something with the sponge. Happy accident. Exactly. So now let's just get a color that would look good with the sponge. I haven't used this color yet. This is like a green. I'm not sure what this green is like. I didn't label my greens to know what's what. So if we do like a kind of a green color here, just get a decent amount of color so we can see a contrast. And then we get our sponge. And then we're just going to, it's not doing much there. Not really but much there. But if you put the sponge here, yeah, the sponge isn't doing a great texture. Let's try another sponge. So let me just try. I thought it would make more of a texture, but sometimes if you use like those actual like organic sponges, they're really good too. So we're just going to, let's just fill this in with a little bit more color, and then we're just going to take that. Yeah, so there's all kinds of stuff. You can get like almost a dry brush technique kind of effect here when you get a little bit of color and just like dab it around a little bit. So that's super fun. So that's just like a regular sponge. And then what we're going to do now is this one should be dry by now. So this one's still a little bit wet. The other thing you can do is get a hair dryer, and you can dry it with a hair dryer. Looks like cheese, exactly. So guys, I think what we have to do now is do the leaf, because otherwise we're just going to be going all day with all these. So let me just see if any of these are ready, or you know what, I'm gonna leave these for now, and we're just going to check them after. This one I think I can check because it's definitely dry. So see, when we pull this one off, it makes a really wonderful defined shape. See, like that looks super cool. And then what I've done in the past with things like that is if I want to like make more of a patchwork quilt type of thing, you can just, here, if I put this one here, okay, I'm just going to do one here just to show you guys. So if I put that one here, and then this one, oh, there goes my scissors. This one I'm going to put here. Like this one, you want to like protect this piece that you've already done, right? So very gently, so you don't ruin your painting, you could put this one here. Okay, like that's going to go along here. And then from there, you can take this piece and say you want to stagger the lines. If your tape gets like loses its stick too much, get new tape, because you don't want the paint to leak underneath. So yeah, if your tape has lost its stickiness, go ahead and get a new piece of tape. So there's that. And then let's just color in that area, and then we're going to go ahead and do our leaf. So we're going to go ahead with that. I'm just going to get some different colors. So say we want to use a different color this time. We used purple and red there. So let's just maybe do some blues and greens for this one. So we're just going to go in here, maybe a little bit of yellow. It's going to be very contrasty, this one, but that's okay. And then a little bit of green. So this is just, I'm really just guessing at these. I'm just having fun. So we're going to do that. And we can add like a little bit more yellow, a little bit more. Whoops, I got too much yellow. There we go. Perfect. And if you get too much paint or water, just dab it on here. So there we go. We're just going to brighten it up a little bit. Perfect. And then you can blend a little bit more. It's the thing with this is it's very addicting. It's very hard to stop once you've started. So anyways, I'm not going to worry too much about it. I'm going to let that dry. And then I'm going to go back to the sampler to pull off some of the plastics and stuff after. And I'm going to move this one over to the side and then just bring over my leaf. And I know it's really small. It might be hard to see, but I'm going to do my best to show you guys how to paint the leaf. So now I'm going to bring my paints back. I'm going to bring these back over here. And I need the sample leaf to show you where I put it. I have a few of them. So if you don't have leaves where you are like this, you can always get a picture online to try to get the colors and stuff. That's not a problem. Just going to grab a sip of water. And then we want to go ahead and paint the leaf, and you can do the background as well. So let's just go ahead. There we go. Yeah, Mimi just walked in and my table's a mess, so that's all good. Oops. Yeah, we're going to have lunch soon, and we're going to head out for a drive. It's a beautiful day. And now I am going to paint the leaf, but it's very small, so I'm going to need like a really small brush. I might have to use my extra small brushes there. Let me just move this for a sec to find my brushes. I had another one here. Yeah, here's another one here. So let's paint our leaf. I'm going to bring this one over here so you can see a little bit. And I'm going to somewhat go by some of these colors that I have here. And I think I'm just going to go quickly and just blend my colors together. So what I would want to do is there's like yellow down there. So let's go ahead and have you done resin art? I have not done resin art at all, but I had a request for fluid acrylics. So I definitely want to try some fluid acrylics at some point because they look really fun. So now I have this ochre color, which is a nice natural color for the leaves. And then so you can just go in. I think I'm going to have to use my thinner brush because I usually worked a little bigger than this. Ooh, hair. But I don't. I made this so small, this drawing, because I made it to go with the ink. So basically you're just going to go in and grab your colors and kind of blend them together a bit. So we're just going to go in. I went over the line already a little bit, but that's the idea, is you really want to wet, like make sure your colors are wet and then go in here, type there. Perfect. So we're going to bring this in a little bit, and then you can add like little bits of red in there, you know, just, and it's really nice when they blend together. See, like that? It's really, really nice, but make sure you have your paper towel or your cloth nearby to get the extra paint off. So I love the way it blends like this. You could also use some of the salt techniques and some of the saran wrap and stuff too. Whatever you want to do is good, you know. So we're going to bring this in. That's the ochre. But then I would grab a little bit of the yellow. The yellow just gives it a little bit of vibrance, which is nice. You can add some more yellow to the other side. And with watercolor, it's nice to be quick if you can, but if, you know, you can always add color after. It's not a big deal. And the thing with this is going to be a mixed media piece, so there is going to be wire on top of it after as well. So we're just going to add a little bit of the brown, maybe add a little bit of red so it's not too unbalanced. But I love the way it just bleeds around. So that's the fun thing about the watercolor. You can just make the colors bleed. Now I just remove the paint from the brush and I put water. So then if I want to blend the colors, that's what you do. You just remove the paint and you add a bit of water. So now I want to grab a little bit more of the ochre just to like get some more of that natural color in there and bring it around. And yeah, the sky is the limit with this. You can just have a lot of fun. I'm not going to worry about drawing the lines because my wire leaf is going to go on top. So that's going to be, that's going to give the details and stuff. So that's perfect. There we go. And I'm not sure what those, you're better, way better painting than me. Oh, well, thank you. I'm just really like playing around with it today. It's sort of a, like a little just experiment, just to show you guys a little bit how you can work with paints, not to worry too much about like the details and the stuff. It's really was just to give you a little introduction to all the things you can do with the different techniques and the like the textures and stuff, which is really fun. So I'm just going to play around with this, just blend the colors together. And I think the background is going to be like super simple. Yeah, it's really going to be very, very simple, the background. And then just kind of like get the colors, try to match up some of the colors from the leaf. And then if they're not in the exact right like place, don't worry about it. And you can do like a few areas at once. So say you want to just like cover a bunch of areas at once. Sometimes it's better not to focus on one area because then it might not look that kind of consistent. So this way, like if you do a little bit in a bunch of different areas at once, then you're going to have a little bit of consistency. So that's cool. So, and like I said, if you want to add some salt or some other things for the textures, you can definitely do that. But for now, we're just going to go around. And then I'm going to add, I'm trying to stick with similar colors. So I've got like a burnt umber, I have the ochre, I have some red. So there's definitely, and a bit of yellow, just because I want it nice and vibrant. And it's nice when you work like kind of wet on wet type of thing too. And yeah, I'm just really playing with this. I like the idea that it's like very watery, very wet, and just go in like that. And then say, for example, you wanted to do like a little bit. I don't actually, this salt isn't that great. I don't think I'm going to use this salt because it's very, I was going to put some salt on it, but my salt is very coarse, so you're not going to get a lot of like fine detail, but you could definitely add some salt to it if you wanted to. And we're going to go in, get a few more colors in there, a little bit more brown, just stick some browns in there and stuff. So we're just going to, yeah, I'm just really playing around with it. I'm not too worried about it. And then if you want to go like to get some darker areas, you definitely could. So you can go in, get some darker areas. Perfect. And just bring it in here and just to play around with it and stuff. So whatever you want to do with it is fine. This gives it just a little bit of kind of definition, like a bit more, like a little bit suggestion of the lines and stuff, but you don't have to do that, especially if you want to draw them on after. You can definitely draw them on. This one I don't really like the way that looks, so I'll just pull it up a little bit, because you can definitely pull things up a little bit too as you want. So we'll bring that one in there, bring that one here. And yeah, I think I'm not going to worry about this one being too perfect. I'm just going to play with it, put a little bit more yellow. And then as for the background, we can just like do a pretty simple background as well. And this line, I'm not going to worry too much about it either, because I'm going to actually put my wire piece on top. So what will happen is this will go on there. Oh, goodbye, bye. And I'm almost done, guys. So we're just going to put that one on there. And then as for a background, I think we want to keep it pretty simple. So I'm just going to go in And I'll just do the kind of background that I like. I like to do like this sort of Payne's gray background. This might be a little too dark, actually. You know what might be better is like a blue. So let's just go ahead and get a blue, because sometimes it's nice to do more of a contrast. Hopefully this is the thing where you hope you don't ruin your painting because, you know, you go in with another color or what have you, and I don't want it to bleed into the leaf itself. So I'm just going to try to be careful not to have it bleed into the leaf itself, and just try to make it look decent. And just because we're on a little bit of a time constraint, I would have maybe let it dry a little bit more, but I'll just do a little bit for now. It's just to give it a little bit of an interest, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect at all. So we're just going to put a little bit of background. The blue is nice because it's a contrasting color with the leaf. So I like that, like blue and orange are complementary colors. So it's kind of nice. So we're just going to do that. And then we're just going to go around, get a little bit more, and then just go around a little bit and see what we can do here. And hopefully that it's not going to bleed, because sometimes if it's wet and wet, it can bleed into each other. But I think I'm not going to worry too much about it. I'm just going to play around with it. But it is nice with the blue. I started with the dark color, and I really think I like it better with the blue. So that's good. And we're just going to do that, bring it around a little bit. Yeah, so it might bleed a bit, but it's all right. Yeah, it looks pretty good. So it's a little dark up here where I started with the Payne's gray, but you can remove that. That's fine. And then you'll see once the wire is on it, it's going to look really good. So we're going to let that dry. I'm going to show you. I'm just going to leave it like that. I don't want to overdo it. And I definitely could have gone in darker and stuff, but for now, just to keep it simple, that's it. Hi Verdella, how are you? So we're doing a painting tutorial to go on the art channel today. So that's that, guys. So let's remove that, and I'll show you the sampler, and then we'll go back to the leaf. So here's the sampler. So just to show you, this is where we put the saran wrap. So let's remove the saran wrap. So you'll see it makes a really cool kind of textures and designs with the saran wrap. Sometimes I find it works a little better with my smooth paper. These I'm going to remove. You'll see it makes like a bigger, like kind of chunky texture because it's coarse salt, but if you used a thinner salt, it would be a little bit more finer detail. This is with the wax. So Becca, you'd asked about the wax paper. Let's pull it up. So that looks good with the wax. It works quite well. It seems to stick together too. So that's a good discovery that this is saran and this is the wax. So the wax paper looks really good. So that's awesome. And then this is tissue. So the tissue would absorb more of the paint, and the tissue looks good too. So it's got like kind of interesting textures as well. So you could use saran wrap, wax, or tissue to get these really cool textures. And then down here was where we did another one with the tape. So let's remove the tape, and you'll see this is awesome. You can do like a really cool patchwork thing going with the tape. So to tape off areas. So this you could even make a full thing that's like a patchwork thing. It's a good for stone. Yes, exactly. If you want texture that looks like rocks, that's amazing. Now this one, hopefully it dried. So this is where I just played around with the masking tape. But yeah, so that's interesting. You could definitely do some stuff, or like I said, you can buy masking fluid to make different designs and stuff there. So, oh, and look what happened to this one. I dropped water on it by mistake, and it did this interesting thing. So, wow, guys, there's so much you can do with all these. So I will take a picture of this and put it in the Discord group. I'm just going to put the link in the comments here to the Discord group for the art. So let me just put it here. So if you go in the Heather Boyd art section, so I'll just write it down here, Heather, whoops. I'm just trying to type Boyd art section in Discord. I'm going to share pictures of this stuff after the live stream. So now let's go ahead and bring over this one. It's not quite dry, but what I'm going to do after is I'm going to actually remove the tape, and I will superimpose this on the background, and I'm going to make it into a card. So you have to let it dry. These little things are going to poke through there, and it's going to become a greeting card. So I will post a picture of that in the Discord group as well. So let me just turn the camera. So that's it, guys. So we did a lot today. Hopefully soon we'll be able to do the live streams on the Heather Boyd Art channel. Until, like I said, get enough subscribers, I will do them on the Wire channel, and then I'll delete it from the Wire channel and put it over to the Art channel. That's no problem. And thanks again for watching. We'll see you on Discord. And next live stream for my Wire is Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern time. So everybody have an amazing, amazing day. What will you do to poke it? I'll use a pin. I can use a straight pin just to poke into the paper. And then I'm going to bend the wires to the back. I think I have some tutorials about how to do that. My leaf looks horrible. Well, don't even think about what it looks like, because it's just, when you start, it's just all about playing. So just have fun with it, and with practice, you'll be more happy with your results. So thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you on Discord and in the group. Bye.